We're very lucky that today, we're very lucky today that we have a special workshop that's being facilitated from our very own Nicole. Now, Nicole, some of you may not know this, but she has been a Toastmaster in the VIC Club for 11 years. So I would just like to say, Nicole, wow, 11 years. And she is also on our executive committee this year as the Vice President of Public Relations. So we're very lucky to have her offering this threefold, we hope it'll be threefold, depends on the outcome, of course, workshop series called Enhancing Your Evaluation Skills. And you might say to yourself, why do I need to enhance my evaluation skills? Well, you don't have to necessarily be an evaluator in your professional life, but even in your personal life. You may have a time when you need to assist either your children or a family member with some feedback on a project they're doing or something that they're doing for their professional life. Sometimes you give friends feedback at a party on personal issues. So learning how to evaluate is more than just following an outline. And Nicole is going to entertain us this entire hour with all kinds of breakout rooms and videos. And I know that I'm really excited to hear from her. So Nicole, I'm going to turn this entire meeting over to you.
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you, Melanie. So we're going to start now to go right into our workshop business. But before I do so, I would like to introduce my team. Melanie, who is our president, will also be the timer today. She will show you the three usual cards, the green, the yellow, and the red for the evaluations. But we'll come back to that later. Gordana is going to be the instruction today. She's not going to be the accountant, but she's the one who's going to give you instructions when you need them. Benjamin is our sergeant at arms, is our technical support today. And Maria Teresa is going to be at the end, the general evaluator. I will explain later again the different parts. As Melanie told you, the aim of this workshop is to improve your evaluation skills for different reasons, professional reasons, personal reasons, and Toastmasters reasons. This is why what I would like to do is to show you first a very short video that was put together by Toastmasters International that will give you a number of tips and guidelines on feedback in general. And then I will give you, or insist, I should say, on 2 points after the video. After that, you will see another video. It is a speech. It's quite a short speech. The person who's going to talk is not a Toastmaster, somebody you don't know anyway. And you're going to have to evaluate that speech. 2 persons came forward. Thank you again. And so Scylla and Judith are going to evaluate the speech. In order to do that, they will be each of them put in a breakout room, and they will have 10 minutes to prepare their evaluation before they give it. During that time, in the main room, I will tell you more about how to evaluate evaluations. That's something that we very rarely do in our club, but that's something that you might want to do in a contest because it's part of contests. Contests have evaluations and judges have to evaluate the evaluators. Exactly what we are going to do today. It's a different kind of evaluation, but if you want to, in the near future, be an evaluator in a contest, it's not bad to know how to do it, and it's not bad to know how to do it anyway. And at the end, we were going to have Maria Teresa tell us what she thought of our performance, how you did, maybe she will have a few things to add. I propose that we start now right away with our video, which I was saying was put together by Toastmasters International. So it's a very official video. Benjamin?
Yes.
Thank you.
Can you see my screen? Okay.
We can't hear, Benjamin.
Yeah.
You have to tick, the two things when you share.
Yeah. This is what I've done. Let me just reshare again. Ah, okay, start again. Sorry.
It's not working.
Thanks for visiting Toastmasters International to learn more about offering feedback. Since 1924, we've helped more than 4 million people gain the confidence to communicate with others. The mutual support and feedback that club members share is the method by which they improve their communication and leadership skills. In fact, one of the main benefits of being a Toastmaster is that you learn how to give and receive feedback. These time-tested tips will empower you to prepare and present constructive feedback that will support others in their efforts to succeed. You've probably received feedback before, and you've probably also had to give some at one time or another. Feedback can be an informal conversation, as in giving your opinion of a new recipe, or it can be a formal event, as in a job performance interview. When you're giving feedback to others, the goal of either method is the same: to help others improve their skills. Whatever the case, the first thing to remember with any kind of feedback is the golden rule. Always offer your opinion in a way that you would like others to share their opinions with you. Respect their work and them too. For example, if your feedback is something best discussed privately, wait for the right time to talk. It will be appreciated. Be sure to show that you value their effort, even if you think the results need improvement. Always try to find something that they have done well. With your confirmation of their good choices, you strengthen their ability to make even more. With the power of positive feedback, they'll walk away feeling that success is within reach. And while it's great to share positive feedback, you also want to share your honest opinion of what they could do better. But how do you know what to recommend? The first step is to ask them. It's a good idea to meet privately with the person you'll be evaluating before any official evaluation. Find out what that person is working on and review project goals together. Be sure to ask what he or she hopes to achieve. If you've been asked to give an informal opinion, it still helps to ask what they want to improve. That focuses your comments in the right direction. Remember, listening to what it is they want to improve will allow you to offer useful advice. By showing the way to improvement, you've opened the door to strengthening their ability. And while we're talking about what to say, here's a suggestion about what not to say. Remember that you are sharing your opinion. As one person, you can't really see everything or predict the future, right? So try to avoid words like never and always. Instead, share what you think works for that particular project or event. Limit your discussion to specific examples and you'll be able to offer more usable information. Remind that person that their needs may be totally different next time. It's always a good idea to pay attention to the specific requirements of each goal. It's important to be as objective as possible. Remember that you've been asked to observe and report on the project, not the person. When you offer feedback appropriately in this way, you encourage people to improve their work. You're saying that you believe they can do it. When giving your verbal evaluation, remember to begin and end it with the note of specific praise so they know what works. Then sandwich any suggestions between layers of praise. As for your suggestions, it's valuable to present them carefully. Your feedback will be more engaging and motivational if you approach any negative opinions in a positive light. For example, avoid saying things like, "You did that wrong." It's better to say something like, "I know a way to do that and get great results." Then be sure to tell them how they can get the same great results. Your delivery can also make a difference. Try to speak in a friendly, direct, non-threatening manner. Make occasional eye contact with the person and smile. Follow these 5 guidelines and you'll be able to help others improve skills so they can reach major life goals. I know you'll find the suggestions useful when providing feedback in any situation, whether you're at home, work, or with friends. When you're lucky enough to receive a valuable feedback from another person, remember to thank them, because their words are going to empower you to reach your goals. For more information on giving feedback, please visit a Toastmasters Club. Find a location near you at www.toastmasters.org.
Should I show the next one, Nicole? You're on mute. Nicole, we cannot hear you. Nicole, you're on mute.
Sorry, I said, no, don't do that now. Stop the share screen and I will tell you when you will have to show the second one. Thank you very much,
Okay.
Benjamin. So, fellow Toastmasters and dear guests, to summarize what the very nice lady said, you can give a feedback either informally in your family or formally in your job or here in the Toastmasters Club. But the aim is always to try to make the other person do whatever he or she is doing better. So you have to be honest, but you have to be also, as they say, motivational, encouraging. It's not so much what you say, but how you say it. So you've got to be honest, you've got to be useful, but you also have to be tactful. That's the challenge sometimes. In your personal life, with your family, with your children, with your spouse, you can take as much time as you want to give feedback. Although I'm not sure your children will want to hear you for more than 5 minutes. Can you try that out? But I'm not sure, right? But anyway, in a Toastmasters Club, you're limited. You have 3 to at most 3.5 minutes to give a feedback. What does that mean? It means that you are going to have to concentrate on 2 to 3 points. Don't try more. 2 ways of doing it. You can talk to the person who is giving the speech before she gives or he gives the speech and see with the person what he or she wants. You know, if the person has several points that he or she feels are a bit weak, then discuss with her or him. Or you choose the 3 points yourself. In a contest, you're going to have to do that because you don't have time anyway in any evaluation to go over every detail of a speech. You're going to get lost and you're not going to give any useful feedback anyway. So concentrate on just a few points. And then in Toastmasters, an evaluation has got to be constructed like a speech. Don't ever try that with your spouse or your children. Again, you know, don't give them a speech. But in Toastmasters, yes, you have to. What does that mean? It means that your evaluation will have to have an introduction, a body, and a conclusion, like a speech. An evaluation is like a little speech. There are different ways of going about it. In the body, and that's the method that we are going to apply today, is the sandwich method, which is called the sandwich method. The ones among you who've been Toastmasters for a long time know the sandwich methods. For the other ones, I will explain. The first layer, you start by telling the speaker what you liked about his or her speech, the points which you think are good. The second layer in between, you're going to talk a little bit about why you didn't like so much or what you think could be improved. And the third layer, you're going to tell the person again what you thought, it's always your opinion, what you thought was good. And then you conclude, and in the conclusion, that's important for a contest, in the conclusion, you wrap it up. That means that you summarize a little bit, and then you give some kind of recommendation. using always, in my view, in my opinion, because it's always your opinion. Let me give you a very, very short, precise example. Suppose that you have a speaker who gave a speech where in the introduction, let's say it's a man, he said very clearly what he was going to talk about. Then in the body, you could spot the structure, but at one point you got a little bit lost. And in particular, you couldn't see when he was starting the conclusion. You thought he was concluding and then he went on. But at the very end, he had a very catchy phrase, something you go away with and you will remember, you will remember for days or weeks. So how are you going to evaluate that? Well, you might, in your introduction, say a few words, but don't say, well, thank you, it was a great speech. That's not the nice way to start. You start with some kind of general introduction if you want, but not the very common one. But in the body, you might start with saying, I like your introduction because be precise, because you told us exactly what you were going to talk about. And that's always very nice to know where we're going. Now, in the body, I followed you for some time, but then at one point, I didn't know whether you were concluding or not. So that should be improved. But the conclusion, well, you finished with that catchy sentence. That was wonderful. That's something I will remember. And in the conclusion, you wrap it up saying, well, good introduction, body structure has this to be improved a little bit. Great catchy phrase at the end in the conclusion. So what kind of recommendation? You might say, well, in my view, what you might try is to write down a plan of your speech so that you see exactly the different parts and you see where the conclusion starts. It's just a very simple example I'm giving you. But that's the kind of thing that you want to have in mind when you give an evaluation. Of course, that's the ideal. We don't have that much time to put together our ideas when we do that. But anyway, what I'm telling you now is what the rules that are going to be followed if you take part in a contest. And that's the ideal evaluation if you are in a Toastmasters environment. At home, at work, you might want to make it longer and you might want not to make it a speech, as I said. So now what we're going to do is that we're going to practice. So what we're going to do is we're going to listen, no, not to listen, to watch. So listen and watch a video with a speech. We're going to have two evaluators, Scylla and Judith. What I'm going to do is I'm going to divide the evaluation into two categories. So Scylla will be kind of group one for herself, all by herself, group one, and she will have to give an evaluation about contents. What is the contents of the speech? What I mean by that, I mean structure, organization. Gordana is going also to write the instructions in the chat. Structure, organization, the speech value, was it original? Did it have any logic? Could you understand properly what the person was saying? And also listen a little bit to maybe grammar or pronunciation of the words which were used. Were the words complicated, uneasy to understand, or on the contrary, were they easy to understand? But anything that has to do with contents. You choose what you want to pick, but you're a seasoned Toastmaster, so you know what to pick when it deals with contents. Now, Judith, body language. What you're going to have to watch is the appearance of the person, the way the person uses the speaking area. In that case, the person doesn't have much speaking area, but okay, see the gestures, how the person moves, uses his body, as a man uses his body, whether he's assured, he has enthusiasm or not. Also, watch the eye contact with the public and see, listen to the voice. Is the voice loud enough, volume? Is the voice flexible or not? Is there flexibility in the voice? Does the tone change or not? what we call flexibility. One of the reasons why we insist on that is that if you want to catch the attention of your audience, and if you want to keep the attention of your audience, you will do so much better if you have flexibility in the voice. If you start to go like that, and you go on like this, and you go on like this, the whole speech, I'm sure that after 5 minutes, people will just fall to sleep. If you see what I mean. So that's what I call voice flexibility. If you are, our 2 evaluators are ready. You've seen what Gordana put in the chat, all the different points that you might want to. Okay, and now Benjamin will show us the video. It starts right away.
Hi, I'm Chris. I'm going to tell you guys about cloud computing.
Can you put it back to the beginning so that we hear
been...
what he's going to talk about? Cloud computing.
Ready?
Okay.
Hi, I'm Chris. I'm going to tell you guys about cloud computing. People have been starting to work on the idea of cloud computing for about 5 years now. The basis of it is that the internet can be used to remotely provide software, services, data, and also processing to individual users and companies of all sizes for a variety of different reasons. Cloud computing can be very useful to small and medium companies for offering software that they create and services to their consumer bases all over the world instantly, as opposed to having to physically get software to people that want to use it. The way that cloud computing works is that large clusters of servers that are already running the internet have the power of virtualization for computers to be set up and then removed again at will by people who have the need for large processing power, or say, for example, a banking company that has research or data that it needs to run or perform overnight, and then doesn't need that processing power in the daytime. Computers can be set up virtually on the internet and then brought back down when they're no longer needed. This saves companies a lot of money that they don't necessarily need to spend on physical computers. There are risks, though, associated with security. Companies that are running cloud computing, like Google and like Amazon, have the ability to monitor data coming in and out of the cloud, and there are not very good set standards yet for the ways that these companies can use the data that is provided to them. In conclusion, cloud computing is a system that we should keep our eyes on and can have a profound impact.
Got it. You're on mute again, Nicole.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay, Benjamin. Yeah, we're back here. We'll show you, Benjamin will show you the very end of the of the little video afterwards when we're over, and you'll understand why. Now, Benjamin is going to put our 2 evaluators in breakout rooms where we'll have peace and quiet to prepare their evaluation. And we are going to talk about evaluating the evaluators in the main room. So Benjamin, if you can put our 2 contestants, our 2 volunteers in the breakout rooms.
Okay.
Sorry, Nicole, how much time?
You have 10 minutes, sorry, 10 minutes.
10 minutes to prepare, and the evaluation that come afterwards, 2
Well,
minutes?
you have 10 minutes to prepare your evaluation, and then you will evaluate. Each of you will come back one at a time. So the second one will have a bit more time. So you will come back and give your evaluation after 10 minutes.
And the evaluation will last for 2 minutes, right?
Your evaluation is 3 to 3.5, at the most 3.5 minutes. It's the usual evaluation.
Okay.
Okay, I'm not sure we can keep a plenary session, and I have 2 breakout rooms. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create 3 breakout rooms, and we're gonna call one a plenary, and the 2 other ones will be for the evaluators.
Okay.
You'll be invited, Judith and Sila, in breakout room 1 and 2 respectively, and all the others invited to the 3rd one. And Nicole, can you confirm that, yeah, they will be on their own in their room? Nobody else should be there.
Yeah, Sila is in one room, Judith is in another room, and the rest of us are in the 3rd room.
Okay, let's go. Okay, opening the rooms. See you in a bit.
Nicole, unmute yourself, please.
I keep talking to myself. So Judith is back, and some of you will have to volunteer, or I will have to volunteer you to give the evaluation of Judith's evaluation at one point. Anybody who wants to volunteer, or should I? Lily, you're going to volunteer, I'm sure. I'm sure Lily will volunteer.
Nicole, you want to tell them their time because they're considered a super evaluator.
They have 2 minutes or 2 minutes and a half to evaluate. So Lily, you're going to evaluate Judith. And Pinar, you want to have a go at it?
So sorry, Nicole. Partly I missed. Maybe next time. Thank you.
Okay. Then Tatiana, you want to have a go at it?
Okay, let me try.
Okay, then Tatiana is going to also to evaluate Judith. Then I will have gone Ines. Ines, you want to try and evaluate Sila?
Yes.
And maybe Anna, would you want to evaluate Sila?
Yeah, I am happy to evaluate.
Oh, that's fine. Okay, good. So we have our super evaluators. So now I will give the floor to Judith. Judith, you have
Nicole.
at the most 3.5 minutes to give us your evaluation.
Nicole,
Yes,
sorry,
Benjamin.
just a technical point. I couldn't come back to the plenary without closing all the rooms. So Celia is with us now. How
No,
should we
Celia
post it?
shouldn't be with us. Celia should be in her separate.
Yes, but I couldn't access the plenary room and keep it.
Oh, well, it doesn't matter so much because after all, they're not evaluating the same point, so that's okay.
Or Celia can just not listen to what.
Yeah,
I can excuse myself as well.
Yeah.
I can leave this room, like, and, come back in.
Yeah, that's a possibility.
It's also important because you're evaluating the same point, so that's okay. So Judith, it's your turn to evaluate.
Okay, thanks. I have to direct my speech to this person, right? So let's call this guy Peter.
As if.
Okay,
and
so
his name is Peter. Okay, just
yeah. So I start now. So thanks, Peter, for your speech. Thanks for shedding some light on this topic that it's really new and it's really interesting. I'll be focusing my evaluation on your voice and your behavior, your body language. So I would like to start saying that thanks for your speech, for using like a clear voice. It was easy to understand you. You show that you were calm. You didn't show any nervousness on your voice, so that's good. However, in my opinion, I felt that your speech would benefit from a different tone in your voice. For next time, maybe it's better to focus on the flexibility of your voice, which with this I mean that you should focus on stressing some parts of your speech that are more relevant or in the same sentence, so people don't lose the attention and keep the attention on your speech. But yeah, it was good, especially. I mean, there are many points that you could benefit from practicing them more, like using more gestures. But I noticed that on the second part of the speech, you're starting slowly to use more your arms. So that's a positive thing that you should use more during your speech, and also your eye contact. But yeah, all in all, I felt that you use like a clear voice in your speech. You have to focus on changing a bit the tone on your speech, highlighting some aspects, and keep using your arms and your body language, because it's very important. From my experience, I find it useful to record oneself So it's easy to see how we are speaking, if we're moving ourselves, if we're keeping the eye contact and all these details. So I encourage you to try this and yeah, keep working on that. Thanks. That's it.
Thank you. Thank you, Judith. Thank you very much for having tried. Melanie, you kept the time? Okay, good. So she was under the 3 minutes. Fine.
Yeah, she's at 2:45, so that's okay to be under, right? Or is it a minimum of 3?
Okay. Thank you, Judith. Now, the ones who are going to evaluate Judith, you have a little bit of time to do that. We're going to go to Scylla, and while Scylla is talking and giving our evaluation, the ones who are evaluating Judith can, take their time to evaluate her. But we're going to go to Scylla, and I repeat that Scylla had to concentrate not on body language, but she had to concentrate on contents. And we have here a previous contestant, somebody who participated in different contests. So let's see what you have to say, Scylla. You have to unmute yourself. Fine, thanks.
Thank you so much for sharing with us an interesting topic, Peter. Power computing is something that I don't know anything about. So for me, as the listener, I really get interested and engaged because I wanted to know something about this topic. Your speech has a very clear structure. You basically presented us first with the question, what is power computing? What is good about power computing? That it is useful for SMEs? How does it work? You gave us examples telling us like how it is being applied in the banking companies. And then you also elaborated a bit on the risk of security, what are the downsides of using this technology. You also highlighted the conclusion that we should all keep an eye on power computing. So congratulations, for sharing with us something interesting and new, and also telling us what you think about this technology. If I might, I would give you 3 suggestions for you to consider to make your conclusion more powerful and convincing. The first technique that I would like to highlight is the use of examples. I got completely hooked when you talk about the examples that how it is being applied in the banking companies. For audience like me who doesn't really have too much IT backgrounds, the terminology and the whole concept itself seems a bit abstract at times. But when you give us practical example of how this is being applied in real life, that is something that I can understand a bit easier and get connected with. And I would like to hear more how this is being applied in companies. What are the companies that have been using it? So that would increase my interest level. The second point is I wanted to know what is the power of power computing, because you highlighted the risk of the security, and then you tell us that we need to keep an eye on it. But that is immediately after you mentioned about the security risk. So for me, then it's like, given the security risk, why should I keep an eye on it? What is so good about it? I started to ask questions again. So if you can actually really highlight us why we should keep an eye on it, despite the risk of security, that would increase the power of your conclusion. And the last tips that I might want you to consider is about giving specific audience targeted recommendation, whereby if I am a bank and I'm interested in saving money by using this technology, that is very good. But if I'm not any company that has nothing to do with this technology, why should I keep an eye on it? What is it in for me? If you can also tell me that, that would make your speech a lot more convincing and also connected with a lot more audience. But all in all, this is an interesting speech that tells us something new about this terminology and technology. And I congratulate you on giving us a factual and very logical and clear structure of the speech. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Scylla. Thank you very much. So the other two super evaluators, that is Anna and Ines, will have to evaluate Scylla. What I would like to do, or what I would like Benjamin to do while you're doing that, is, Benjamin, if you can share your screen again and show us the end of the speech.
Sure. Yeah, sharing now.
Well, start not at the very end, but yeah, I guess there. Yeah, that's okay. And then
Okay.
yeah, and just show us what happens.
Keep our eyes on and can have a profound impact. On computing and systems.
Oh my God, did he just pass out?
Thank you, Benjamin. So I wanted to show you that the poor guy, who is a student, looked very calm, but was absolutely, I mean, it was terror. He was in total panic and he passed out. So that's why we didn't want to show you the end, because we didn't want Judith to see that. But I think he really needed encouragement. He had a very hard time. And when you start as a Toastmaster, I'm saying that for our guests, it's not that bad, but it's not that bad. It's never that bad. But sometimes it's quite difficult. But you see, after some time, you get really better. So that's the way you start. And then you get much, much, much better. That's one of the values of Toastmasters. Now, can we have for Judith the evaluation of Lily?
Judith, I liked how you filled the screen and spoke to us directly, though we still need to learn to look directly into the camera when we're using this technique. And I know most meetings I'm looking somewhere else at the screen at the people, so it's not often that I know exactly where to look into the camera. And it was fascinating for me to watch you and compare to the speaker that you were evaluating, because to a certain extent you almost mimicked his style, and yet I thought it's like a compliment, they say, when you do what the other person is doing, but you were so much better. You really you really tried to give him some tips, and yet I felt you could have been, you were talking about voice variety, you said flexibility. You could have used voice variety yourself, and that's what I thought was, even though it was missing for him, when you were telling him how he could do that, you could have done it. You could have said, hey, what about raising your voice? Or giving him some sort of an example. And then you talked about gestures, and we saw your face, and the only gestures we got was from your face itself. He was standing there, and we saw a lot about his body and his body language, and the end of the video certainly showed us a lot of other reasons for how he came across. But it's a challenge in this environment to also use the opportunities that we have to gesture, to use our hands, or to do what else we can do. And I thought that you did a good job, considering it was quite challenging that you had to talk about technique and not go into. What I really liked was you also suggested and used it as your own example of recording, to learn from the recording. And for me, what I know I want to do, I want to go back, watch the recording of him, watch the recording of you, because I know I missed so much of what you said. I think actually you did a great job, even though my initial impression was you are mimicking what he's doing and also being a little bit boring when you could actually be much more lively and give a lot more variety to give him a bit of a kick. And so I really liked the tip that you gave and the encouragement that you gave. I thought that was very well done. That's it.
Thank you. Thank you, Lily, for your encouragement, for your feedback. Now, we have Tatiana. What did you think, Tatiana, of Judith's evaluation of the speech?
I think that the fact that Judith encouraged the speaker by saying that he had an interesting topic and he was engaging into his presentation was a good start, especially because overcoming your emotions when you really watch it and the speech is over and you think, what kind of positive thing I can say about this speech. So starting from the positivity, I really like that Judith did that. And she also focused on what are the points of her evaluation, because I think it's also important for the presenter to know what exactly the evaluator is going to evaluate, not other parts, but exactly those parts. So this positive start and advice on the subject matter was good. What was an engaging point. Immediately after that, the evaluation went into recommendations to work on speech tone, but and gestures were also mentioned. But immediately after that, Judith came back to positive assessment. So this going in circles, not giving the positive assessment once, but coming back to that. I have strange feelings about that, whether that would be the best technique to approach it, but I kind of noticed that and I wanted to bring it into my evaluation here. The point about concrete suggestions was very important. I liked the suggestion to keep attention on the subject, to encourage audience with gestures and emphasize specific subjects or words by your tone, the voice you are using. And of course, the technique which was suggested to use for the speaker for the practicing was very instrumental. I liked it very much. What I missed maybe in this particular evaluation was the summary. So here I would have the place where I would come again to, yes, your speech was engaging and you used some of those techniques, but please focus on that. So that would be my suggestion and evaluation of Judith's introduction.
Thank you, Tatiana. Thank you so much. Also for your encouraging words, because that's also part of it, right? Now we're going to go to Scylla, and Scylla is going to be evaluated. So it's 2 minutes, 2.5 again for the super evaluators. Scylla is evaluated by Ines.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Toastmaster Nicole. Scylla, Toastmaster Scylla, wow. You really focused on the issues which we really also brought in as the main topic of this workshop. If I listen to you, you took very clearly what you need to put in your evaluation as the structure. It was positive. You were very encouraging in the beginning. You also clearly said it was very useful for you. The word selection was also something you concentrated on to also reflect your thoughts on the speech. I think that the issue of how to structure your sandwich method in this speech was also very well done. Congratulations. I liked what you said about the examples which you were missing. For example, in the business sector, banking, in the real life issues. I think that really made also your evaluation very powerful. At the same time, what I thought would be very useful is, especially in this particular case, you could have really started with, wow, Peter, you did an amazing job. You were giving us new information because that is also what we were hungry for. We were very interested in what he has to say about cloud computing. You could have really started off with, yes, you gave us new information. So the emotional issues which are coming out from such a statement could have been more reflected in your own evaluation. The conclusions was done also in terms of giving us information on the target audience, because I think in this particular speech, it would have been also very useful to know who his target audience was. Well done. And I would like to give the floor back to Toastmaster Nicole.
Thank you, Ines. Now we're going to have Anna's opinion about Scylla's performance as an evaluator. So Anna, what do you have to say about this evaluation that was given by Scylla?
It's always a privilege to evaluate performance by Sheila, because how it was captured, especially the content of the speech. She said up front that she is not familiar with cloud computing and still praised the speaker for very useful points, and then gave him a really specific tip, as specific as she could, not familiar with this technology, how to improve the speech or what she would like to hear more. As part of the content of the evaluation, it was for me really close to perfection, especially when it comes to paying attention to the details. What could enhance this evaluation even further? I would use a little bit more playfulness in this evaluation, because even she could not see how the speech ended up, that we could see later. The speaker was really shy and mortified to that. So what I would do differently in an evaluation, I would recommend to show us some probes. Maybe we don't have the data in the mobile phone, but we have it somewhere in the cloud. And a little bit smile at the speaker, because he wants to give, or we want them to give more speeches next time to deliver. And what is also challenging for me when giving evaluation is looking at the notes. And I noticed with Sheila, it was hard for her, like it's for all of us, to keep eye contact with the camera, because she had to read notes. And I was thinking a lot how to battle this challenge. And I'm thinking it's good to put the notes aside, or maybe on another monitor, that you don't really notice that I am reading this. That would be my suggestion for Sheila. And I really enjoyed the feedback she gave to Peter, if this is his real name. Back to Toastmaster.
Thank you, Anna. Thank you. I suppose that Scylla will really take into consideration your feedback, because Scylla, are you going to take part in the contest as an evaluator? Or you were considering, or?
I'm not sure about evaluation, but I'm definitely for the speech.
You're going to give a speech. Okay, I would like to, before we finish, and I will have a few words. No, I have to give the floor. Sorry. Maria Teresa, what do you have to say about the general performance and the feedback that was given at those two stages?
Nicole, how long does Maria Teresa have? 5 minutes.
Thank you, Toastmaster Nicole. I think that's the thing that startled me in all of the evaluations, is that people didn't pick up on the points that I noticed. So I will share that with you. I found the speaker, Peter, didn't look at his audience. And look at how he was standing behind the podium. You would have thought he's going to his execution. He was not comfortable. And nobody said something about his manner, how he appeared. He didn't appear confident, authoritative, credible. He looked scared.
He was.
I wouldn't trust the guy with anything he said. You also didn't pick up on the fact that he was umming and ahhing all over the place. There were so many Nobody picked up on that. And the thing perhaps for me most startling, he didn't use any kind of hand gesturing. He was standing at the side, again, looking like he was being marched off to the execution, and no use of any hand gestures, nothing, or his face. I would have been at least more direct and not said something about his local flexibility. I would have said his tone was monotonous. And many times in Toastmaster speeches, when somebody is monotonous, it starts getting very boring for the audience. Just like I found that I'm not sure how well he related to the audience because he used expressions like cloud and this and that. Who was he talking to? People that are familiar with computers? You have to be always very conscious and cognizant of your audience. I'm not so sure he was aware of that. I also had trouble because throughout the speech, I found him very low-key. And a couple of the evaluators picked up on the fact that he could have used his voice. I wish he had Lily's qualities to animate, to be really getting into the whole thing. He had absolutely none of that. He was like a stiff, solemn dummy. And nobody was honest enough to tell him that. I would have. I'm doing it now. The other thing I had problems with listening to him. His voice, he was very soft-spoken, and you could barely hear him. So much to the point that at the end of his speech, I didn't pick up on a strong finish. And this is one of the most important components in a Toastmaster speech. You end strong. And he didn't have any of that for me. Other than that, all of the evaluators who picked up on things, I do have a couple of other additional comments. I know you're trying to be polite, but don't say thank you so much. When you say thank you as an evaluator, you're not giving your speaker anything they can use. I know you're trying to be positive and encouraging, but don't say thank you. I like the fact that some people said, I would recommend or I suggest. And Scylla, you were fabulous when you used the 3 examples, the 3 very concrete examples. That's a very good technique in an evaluation, to tell people exactly what they could do better, how they could improve. Again, all in all, I found the whole topic of evaluation challenging. Nicole said, you want to be truthful, you want to be honest, but you don't want to hurt your speaker. Again, your speaker gets more, in my way of, if you are honest, tell them the things that you thought they did wrong and the things you thought or you think they can do better. After all, that's what this club is about, improvement. Let me see, I'm looking at my notes.
But Maria Teresa, how would you encourage a speaker like this one who is stiff scared?
Well, I would say, Peter, in the future, I think you should come with a different demeanor to the podium. I think you should present yourself, you look scared. And I think you should maybe smile a little bit, convey, you know, whatever.
Okay.
Other than that, that concludes my evaluation of the speaker and the evaluators, but you all did a wonderful job. You always, and I forget this sometimes, and this is crucial, and Nicole mentioned it, the sandwich. Start off with something positive, make your comments about what people could do better, but always finish with something encouraging, because quite frankly, that's what the people will remember, your last words in an evaluation. And if you forget that crucial point, it's over. I have actually lost a friend over an evaluation I gave. She didn't speak to me for almost a year.
Well, as you said, Maria Teresa, it's not so much what you say, but how you say it.
Correct.
So you've got to be useful, but you've got to be tactful. I would like to ask Alex what he got out of all this before we finish.
Well, I have one comment also to make. What I picked up is that I got the feeling that the speaker, well, to say it bluntly, needs a Red Bull before he gave his presentation, because to me, he seems to be falling asleep. Like literally, he was preparing this presentation until 3 o'clock in the morning for his school project. And I mean, he literally could be wrong, but he literally fell asleep through this presentation. So as you said, he was doing a lot of and because he literally did not even learn it. He was looking at the notes. He was constantly engaged with the notes. So this is what I kind of picked up from him. And I didn't hear anybody give those comments because we were all focused on what he could improve. But from the start, he looked like he is not in the room. He's, I don't know, he's literally giving his presentation to somebody who is not in the room at all. But otherwise, I quite liked actually the whole discussion and the whole group, because first time that I'm actually seeing this. And I don't know, it is quite engaging and quite interesting. And I would like to actually hear more and to get involved.
Yes, we do that all the time when we are in a Toastmaster session. What you have to, well, you might not have noticed, but, and I tend to agree with Maria Teresa there. The reason why I gave you a speech, which with somebody we didn't know and who was not a Toastmaster, was that you should be honest. And I don't think you were totally honest. And Maria Teresa was right. It's a bad speech. But the reason why it was a bad, I'm not talking about content so much as about the way he delivers the speech. And the reason why I suppose, because I don't know the guy, he was scared stiff. He had to present this report in front of, I think it was a student room, right? And at the end he fell, I think he fainted. And the reason why he was so stiff and didn't move is he had problems breathing, I think. It's just simple as that. And that we see sometimes, especially when we're not over Zoom, but in a room, when people give their first speech, they have difficulties breathing. Because it's in the stomach. And I've seen people shake. I've seen people put their hands on the table not to shake. That's how it is when you give your first speech. And as an evaluator there, you've got to be honest. But when you notice that, you've got to find words of encouragement at the end so that the person comes back. So honestly, you have to say, well, I saw that you were shaking. I saw that you had difficulty breathing. So for breathing, give the person a very specific piece of advice. Now, before you go to the podium, then take a big breath, that kind of thing. But don't worry, it happens to everybody. And after some time, you'll get much better. And that's an encouraging. But like Maria Teresa said, don't forget to be honest. Don't forget to be honest. If you want to be helpful, you have to be honest. I'm not sure we were totally honest today. I thank you all very much for having attended this small workshop. Again, I encourage you to participate in any kind of role in the contest, or to just attend the contest, or to come back, Alex, to some of our normal meetings over Zoom, or, well, in person is a bit more difficult because the UN is the UN. But there are other clubs in Vienna where you can attend some of the meetings. So thank you all. I said an hour and a quarter. We're there.
I have a point of order. I have a point of order. Alex, if you want to be invited to a Toastmaster meeting or to the next workshops, please send me your email in the chat and you will get a personal invitation from me. And otherwise, I think we have to applaud our facilitator. Nicole, this is a really complicated project. I think you did it well. Bravo, bravo. But you should mention, if I may say, that this is a continuation going on the 1st of March and on the 15th of March. Well, so if we've just kind of, started to get into it, we can further this entire flow.
We're still thinking about that point there.
For Melanie, if you want, Melanie, if you have to leave, you can give me the control of the session. I have a few points there for the next workshops, because I was thinking, I see that there are not that many people who could make it. And I thought we could make something which would be useful for Scilla and my view for Melanie, she accepts to give an international speech. I don't know. And we're not going to have a contest at the club level. We decided we were going to nominate 2 persons for whatever you want to do. Be it to be an evaluator, to be not a target speaker, but well, you can volunteer to be a target speaker too, but to participate in table topics. Now, we could use either the next meeting or the one after that, although the 15th is very close to the first to the contest. Have Scylla and Melanie, even Melanie, if you don't want to compete in the end, to give us their 2 speeches. And we'll do what we did today. We will evaluate them, but we will evaluate them in an honest way and a helpful way. The purpose being that they can deliver as good a speech as possible at the area level, at the division level, at the district level, because we want them to go up to the district level. And I think it would be a good opportunity for us to practice as judges, because I would have a few things to tell you about judges and the way they don't read the instructions. And we could do that. We could make it a rehearsal and help our 2 contestants to make it better. What do you think about it? You can put your, unmute yourself.
Yeah, thanks, Nicole. Yeah, I think this is a great suggestion. It's just that on the 15th, I can't make it. That whole week, I would have meetings for the whole week. But any other time, like
what about the 1st then? The 1st of March? That was the other possibility.
That would work for me.
So should we decide today that on the 1st of March, we'll have a kind of rehearsal? So it'll be like a workshop where we'll have the 2 contestants, and the challenge will be for a number of people, maybe more than today, to give evaluations to help, and then we can sum it up at the end and give our suggestions to the 2 contestants. What do you think? It's okay, all of you?
Good idea.
Good idea.
Good idea.
Anybody against?
Yeah, so it would be a live speech from Sila, and then we would all be able to give an evaluation to her, learning how to evaluate better, and that she could take away those ideas with her to improve for the area.
Yes, and for anybody who wants to participate as an evaluator in one of the contests.
Okay.
Just a quick note, that is not the same as the second part of this workshop.
What we're going to, the judges, we're going to go more in the direction of how to judge.
Okay.
But when you judge, you evaluate. But for contests, it's a little bit the form. But what we might do with Maria Teresa, we'll send you in an email as attachments. We're going to send you the ballots, so you have an idea of what it looks like. What is because the ballot are instructions in a way, how to evaluate or how to judge a competitor. So
okay.
You'll have that for next time. Gordana, you won't have to put anything in the chat. Everybody will have the ballot. And they can.
All right, no problem. And I think Tatiana has been raised. Yeah.
Yes. And Alex, if you want to come to that, then you'll hear 2 great speeches. Not people who are scared stiff. I don't know, but 2 people who know how to give a speech. So then it's another experience.
If I may, I also raised my hand some time ago, but there were a lot of discussions. It was exactly about what Gordana just mentioned, that we can have kind of a script or those suggestions and points separately.
Yeah.
And on another, maybe even earlier point, the critical feedback, which Maria Teresa mentioned, we are always trying to be positive. So why and how we can deliver this critical negative feedback would be my question, actually, how we can be really frank without hurting.
Yeah, this is a really interesting point that Tatiana mentioned, because I was thinking about this speaker like somebody who came to the club first time, and in my Toastmaster career, I gave a lot of critical evaluation to the newcomers. And I have to tell you, sometimes they didn't return to the club. Yeah, I am not sure if it was my evaluation because they did not tell me. but it was feedback from my club members. So this is very interesting point. But for a competition speech, I agree with Maria Teresa that we can definitely be much tougher.
One way of doing it, but it's a challenge. I think that evaluation is a challenge, is instead of being negative, say, what in my view could maybe be improved, you know, putting it diplomatically, instead of saying, well, you did that wrong, that was terrible. I mean, you know, you didn't move at all. I mean, you were not even looking at us. Hey, we're here. No, of course you're not going to say it that way, even that's what you think. But say, it says that from time to time, maybe you should look at us a bit more, you see, because we would like to have contact with you. So you're being honest. She's not having an eye contact, or maybe you would want to move a little bit more. That's not what you're going to do in a contest. In a contest, you can, but especially with newcomers, and with newcomers, we have to be more lenient. That's for sure. That's for sure, because you want them to come back.
I think we can try to do that more with humor. That somehow humor brings in a bit of a more a light touch to actually a very serious issue. Serious in terms of, you know, where great improvements are needed. I think we can try to also bring this as a criteria in the evaluation. And I don't see that in the points which were actually put in the Toastmasters in the list for evaluations. I think we need to try to find a way to somehow also exercise that.
You can do it the American way. The American are very good at that. Okay, sorry, Melanie, for being brutally honest. The Americans are good at self-criticism. Like, instead of saying your voice was not loud enough, you say, you know, I'm getting old, and sometimes I have difficulties hearing.
I beg you differ, Nicole. Maybe I've
No, sorry, I don't. As an evaluator, you don't start in an evaluation talking about your weak points. I mean, and again, Ines, I like the idea of humor, but how are you going to make a point that somebody gets it when it's funny? It might go over their head. They might not get it.
I'm not saying you do that with a person who's been a Toastmaster for 10 years, but for a beginner.
Needs to leave, and we're going to maybe stop recording. We've already gone almost 15 minutes overtime. So we can take this into, just, you know, park it for now and take it into our next evaluation session. It'll be on the 1st of March. But as you all know, as of next Tuesday, we're going to have our official meeting online again. So please sign up for a role. If anyone wants to stay in the room, I can leave the meeting open. Benjamin has control, but he's giving it back to me, I believe. And then we'll stop recording. Okay, so if anyone wants to stay, you're welcome.
Thank you, everybody.
Otherwise,
thank you.
Thank you, Nicole.
Thank
Very
you.
well done.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye,
Bye.
Nicole. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.